Yeah, I give you I give you the mic so you can speak if you want to, my brother or sister, whoever's janky leg. Oh. What's going on, my brother or my sister? Jangle leg. Can you?
Yeah, can you
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on, my brother?
sit with everyone to get here? I'll hop.
Wait, what you say?
I say I'll hop in when everyone gets here. I'll be around.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay. Yeah. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for my boy. He about to get on right now. We about to chop it up. So I'm just waiting. That's why it's quiet.
all right, no problem.
You know what I'm saying? Man, let me ask you a question though. While you on, man? What you think about the reparations, man?
Man, it's exactly what I thought was gonna happen after they elected Joe Biden, bro.
Why you say that? Explain to me. What you think? I speak about it a lot, but I want to get other people's perspective. What do you think about what he said, man? What's your honest opinion?
My honest opinion, he just said that just so it's bullshit. You know, like bullshitting around. That's what it was like. No one asked me any questions because no one's gonna check him on it. You know, like he has the highest. He holds the highest office, so no one's really gonna come up and be like, "Hey, bro, why would you say that?" And he understands what he's doing. And it was a joke. I believe it was a joke to play on Black Americans.
Do you? And let me ask you a question. I'm
Yes,
gonna
sir.
ask you right now. Okay, so you feel like? Do you feel like he meant what he said when he was on the House floor and was like, "Why should I pay for what my ancestors did"? Do you feel like he feels that way still to
Yeah,
this day?
100%. Most white people feel that way. Like
Mm.
that's most white people you run into if you ask them that question. That's the exact answer they're gonna give you because it's almost like passing the buck around. Like they're not gonna take responsibility. They're never gonna. They just don't want you to talk about it and just go about your day, go about your business.
Do you think? Do you think now? That's a good answer. Do you think now, since he's come out and said that, do you feel like a lot of these people that voted for Obama? I mean, not just Obama, but Biden. Do you feel like they feel dumb? Are they dumbfounded, or do you feel like they still gonna make excuses?
I was just listening to Willie D, right? And he's just one of them old niggas, man. It's like I guess like a lot of the old niggas, they get their pensions, you know, and it's almost the end of their life. So they're not,
I'm laughing because what you said is facts. Go ahead, my brother.
yeah, man. So they're not really concerned with it. So because I have an uncle here in South Carolina, and you know, I brought the conversation up to him, and he just looked me dead in my face and say, "Oh, we're not getting reparations. Don't worry about it." You know, and I'm really gun ho about this whole reparations movement because I feel like my children needs this. I can't leave here without making some type of mark for my children. I got to leave something for my children. That's just how it goes. But I look at my uncle, who's the generation who basically raised me, and I just look and I look how But now he's getting his VA disability, getting his pension from the job he retired from. He don't care. They don't care.
Man, you spitting facts, brother. I'm glad you dropped on, man. Wait till my man. Look, I was just having this conversation with my sibling this past weekend, like how the older generation, it was different. They can work 30 years or they can work 25 years at the state or the county. They get their pension. And once they get their pension, they happy again. They ain't got to go to work like us. So now they like, don't go hard. But for the people that's still in the struggle, what about them? And I feel like a lot of the elder statesmen, like you just said, now is the time to really go hard because this man already told you what it was on the House floor when he said, "Why should I pay for what my ancestors did?" I wasn't here for that. So when he said that, my first thing was like, "Y'all still gonna go vote for this person?" If I was a black man and I was running for office and I said something remotely crazy about the white Jewish community, what do you think they would do to me? Look what they did to Nick Cannon.
Counsel, counsel. You'll be counseled before you got home.
Exactly. But they could just get on there and say anything, and I think a lot of that is, my brother, man, is because you have the people like us that's focused, that's like, bro, like, my nieces, my nephews, my little siblings, man, I tell them all the time, look, man, each generation you get weaker and it gets tougher. It's not as easy as it is when I was gonna growing up compared to what y'all growing up, because y'all have so much different distractions. So it's really, really important to kind of look at what's going on. And of course, the younger generation is always like, "Oh, it ain't that deep. It ain't that deep." But I've always had that mentality, bro, because I'm like, bro, we deserve reparations, man. Like we need land, wealth, and resources. We
It's
need to, you
once
know what
you
I'm saying?
evidence out, it's undeniable. The only they have is to not even talk about it, not bring it up. At this
Facts.
point, they're just, I don't even know. Like at this point, I'm getting confused because it's even some of our own people. It's like, have you
Yo, go ahead.
because it's I don't get it. I really don't get it because I came from nothing, and now I've worked myself up from nothing, and I have now where I'm at now. I'm fine, I'm fine. That's why like I don't really put my picture on here because I really don't want too many people to be able to hurt me from a spot that I can't get. So I don't really put my picture on here, but because I'm okay in a good position, but I still understand like what I have now can be taken at any moment. You know what I like? It can be taken from me at any moment because I don't have anyone behind me that's really gonna back me up. Like most of my family, like so they're looking at me, and I'm one of the youngest. So it's like y'all don't see this. They don't see it. It's hard to even explain to people when it's like it's basically they hate. I really believe like I thought it was one time they hated Trump that bad, and I'm like maybe they just hate Trump and they're gonna see it, but now they still don't see it. Rising gas prices. We're in a war right now, and it's like come on guys, I know you got to see it. Then the immigrants is about to flood the border again, and they don't see it. I got laughed at by my brother about the bill that he just passed, the lynching bill, and I was like, bro, that's like 120 years too late. And my brother, he just texted me back and he said, I'm just happy because my president passed it. I don't know what we're gonna tell these people. They're not gonna wake up into it's like until we're leaking bad. Like we're not gonna be able to make this if they don't wake up. Because we can't do this by ourselves.
Hey, that's funny. I talk about this all the time. I remember when Biden was running, right? So when he was running, I always call it the court plantation. Some people at my court plantation, some black folk, and they was like, "You got to get in there and vote because we got to get him out. Do you vote?" And I was like, "No, I don't vote. I vote my interest. I don't vote just to vote who I like." And then they immediately got mad. Immediately got mad. See, that's the problem. Vote. And then you know what my response was? I can complain, I can say something because my taxes tell me different. So when they stop taking taxes out of my check for people I don't know, then that's when I won't say anything. But until then, I'm going to always complain as long as they taking money out of my check about what they are doing to black folk and how we don't have reparations. Y'all up here voting for y'all voting who y'all like. Y'all not voting y'all interests. And I was like, and I'm not trying to be funny or nothing, but a lot of us, I told them, I was like, a lot of us, we ain't well read. So we don't do no studying. We don't do any of that. We just sit up here and go off of emotion. And then when you get these people in these positions of power that are not fighting for black folk, then we start marching, whining, and repeating. And I'm tired of that marching, whining, and repeating when clearly when Trump and Biden was going head to head, the Democrats didn't even want to meet with Ice Cube for the black contract on America. They didn't want to meet. They said, we'll meet with you to see what the results are. Basically, if we lose, we don't need to talk to you. And if we win, we don't really need to talk to you. They still ain't talk to them. And black people will still sit up there and vote for these people when they know that they have not done anything for us. So you're right. We have two classes. We have the awakened class that's like, hey, hold on, something is not right. And then you have the people that's like, don't worry if it's not right. I'm comfortable right now, and we should just not make waves. Just like how you ain't got no pictures on your Twitter, me too. It's like my third Twitter. Once I started talking about real shit, they was quick to kick me off of Twitter. When I was talking about all kinds of other shit that didn't make sense, I was getting retweets and likes and all that. Once I started talking about the alphabet community and talking about how they bogus for trying to compare their struggle to black folk struggle, it's like everybody wants to use black folk as the stepping stone to where they want to get to. Then once they get there, you don't hear from these people no more. Biden already told us what it was, bro. He said it on the House floor. What did he say? He said, I'm not paying for what my ancestors did. So I don't care. I'm not paying for that. So if he already said that, I don't know why people are like still making excuses for him. Because I feel like a lot of people are just making excuses for him, bro. They not calling him to the floor and holding him accountable. Because people are too busy still talking about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. But motherfuckers ain't talking about them reparations and that money that's owed to us and that land, wealth, and them resources. Because that's what we really need, bro.
And that's the joke that's on our whole community. Everyone talks about it. They're like, yo, you throw them some entertainment, they won't, nothing matters. Like, throw them a new dance every now and then, throw them a nice championship football game every now and they'll be happy. And those most of the people, because I played football, I played college football, right? And so the whole time it was like everyone loved that sport so much, but if you ask them anything what's going on in the real world, they couldn't tell you. People will literally give their entire life playing a sport that really, what percentage actually makes it to the NFL? But by the time they get out, their bodies are broken, and they're doing this to us generation after generation after generation. A lot of kids are broken before they leave high school. So it's like a mind thing, CTE, that's real. And like people believe it or not, a lot of these young boys, after they get done playing high school football, they end up getting on drugs or something, looking just like us. And people ask, why is that happening? Because their body's broken. And you're going to send a lot of guys, they send to college. And it's like, it's all for the chasing of something that they put there that really is not going to go anywhere. It's, it's sick what's going on right now. It's sick.
Man, that's you know what that's true. You know what you're saying is not only facts, it's very evident. We see it all the time. We see it. People go to these football leagues and all this other stuff. Then when they go into these football leagues, after that, they last 2, 3, 4 years. They come out, they got CTE, they got post traumatic stress because they're pushing their bodies to the limit where they're not supposed to. And then after they're doing that, now they broke because financially they didn't spend all their money on things that they did shouldn't spend their money on. And then you're right, they get hooked up on the drugs, the liquor, the alcohol, the stuff like that. And I feel like we need to have better education. I'm talking about for us. But you know what it is too? A lot of times we don't want to listen to each other. We don't want to listen. That's why I was in this Twitter space with my brother last night, and he was saying some things that people may have taken it a certain way. I didn't. He was just pointing out different facts and different perspectives. And you know what I told that brother? Because I told him, I said, bro, I'm not on here to argue. I'm on here to listen and to learn and compare notes. I'm loving that black folk are starting to wake up and be awakened. And I don't have time to be combative with my brother sister. We can talk, we can compare notes. You can have your perspective, I can have my perspective. But I feel like right now, what you're saying right now is what matters most, bro. Like, you don't really understand. Like, what you just said, how you like, man, the older generation and some of the people they got their pensions. It's so funny. You know how many people I run into, my people, melanated people, they didn't work their job for 20 years and now they don't want you to go hard. They're telling you to still vote for Biden. They telling you, oh, well, Biden is better than Trump. Biden is, Democrats are always better than Republicans. And it's like, not necessarily, man. We're supposed to be voting our interests. When you start talking like that to people, especially our people, man, when they're a certain age and a certain demographic, man, they be tripping. You don't know how many elderly melanated brothers and sisters be going in on my ass about that shit. And I
Yeah.
just listen to them and I'll be like, look, I respect your perspective, but man, I just feel like we need to vote our interests. Well, where would you get that from? I was like, I read this book called Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. And I read Powernomics, and he says, vote your interests. You should lease politicians or rent politicians. You shouldn't be getting to the point where you want to, you know what I'm saying? Like where you just like the politician. If the politician ain't doing nothing for your people, then why the fuck is you sitting up there voting for them? Because they can't really help you there's a certain point where they can't, how they going to help you? Like, what are they going to do to help you if they haven't already helped you? Like, look, you see when Ed Gordon asked him that question about reparations, you see his reaction?
It was
His
combative.
reaction, yeah, it was very combative. Or am I tripping? You tell me.
No, that was very combative. Just like Kamala Harris when she got up and she said, "No, I'm not going to do anything for just for Black America." Like, now I was like, how did she even make it? This woman faked the entire time and say, she was a Black woman, so she galvanized the Black female vote, and then It's this that the Indian vote. She got the Indian vote. Whoever these people own all the gas stations around. When you get down south, they own all the gas stations. It's not just one or two. They own them all, and it's I don't even understand how we got to where we allow other people to come in just say they're us. Because what was this today? I was looking at it was something about Asian Pacific Islander coalition. I guess it was a white woman or a very bright woman that's heading it today. And everyone's in the comments. They're trying to say, oh, we got this new lady headed, and I'm like, well, why would you put this lady ahead of something that's for black people? Like, why do we keep allowing these people to get in and stir our movements and our plight to a different direction? They're never bringing it to where it's going to help us. It's like just like when they say even if they want to give us money in one state, they want to give money for mortgages, and all the mortgages is going to go get pilfered right back into the white community. It's never even going to help us. It's never going to stay where they say what the Chinese dollar circulates almost 5 months in their community. As soon as we get our money, it just leaves our community.
Man, I'm on mute trying to talk. Look, let me tell you something. I'm gonna say it like this. I think more people need to wake up and understand what's going on. And the reason why I'm saying this is to piggyback off what you said. You're right. Kamala Harris was never for black folk. She was a side bitch who made her way all the way to where she needed to because they needed somebody that looked like us but wasn't for us. Like I like what you said, my brother. Like you said some real shit when you like, look, bro, I ain't really trying to be out there like that. You know what? I'm comfortable, I'm good, but I'm still fighting for my people. I'm the same way. Most people that would be in your position or my position would be like, well, why are you out there tripping? Like, you good. You got your little corporate plantation job, you know what I'm saying? You good, you Gucci. But this could be taken away from me at any time by them. So if it could be taken away from me at any time by them, I need to really wake up and start handling business for my people. Because I would want people to handle business for me if I was in that situation. Look at the homeless crisis. Look at that, man. And you're right. Look at all these East Indians owning all the gas stations, all the liquor stores. That's done by design. That's done by design. How is it they getting into the gas station business, but you can't find no local black owner of a gas station? Th- th-
It,
that that doesn't shock most people because most people think it's normal. It's not normal to me.
it's
Our
tax.
people should be over.
Those folks don't even give out receipts. Like if you go into their stores, they won't give you a receipt. You ask for a receipt, they'll get an attitude with you. And I'm noticing everyone's able to play the system and get over on the system, but as soon as a black person does it, or someone who even like us, they're going to come down so hard on us. They're going to open up criminal investigations. They're going to look at your finances, at your taxes. It's like these people could come over here, almost change identities. I saw one immigrant. They said he was 32 years old. I'm 32 years old. This guy was at least 50. And they was like, he's only 32 and he got arrested for something. I saw his picture. I'm like, this guy's at least 50. But see, these people come over here and they're just making up identity. So they can go back home and come back and make up another identity. This is man.
Look, my brother, you not only you saying real facts, but you know what's so funny? They can go back to wherever they came from. So go on and go ahead and do that. And then when you start speaking up on behalf of us, now it becomes a problem. Now it's like one of those problems where it's like, well, how dare you speak like that because that's divisive. No, it's not divisive. It's inclusive to us because we the people who built the country. We're the ones who deal with the bullshit at the corporate plantations and the people waiting for you to be a reactionary to things that they do and emails and shit that they send and how they poke and prod at you at these jobs to get people up out of them so they get their people in there. We're the ones who have to deal with that every day. We're the
We're,
ones who have to deal with, why does he drive? Look, if
we're
you are
in their prison. Okay,
ex-
a open,
exactly.
a open air prison. So you see how this rock, and it was almost like to put this man back in check. Okay, what's his name? Ti just got up on stage and basically was trying to tell this black comedian female that what she could not say on stage. And it was like, in our own establishment, we here to keep each other in check. When you go to, all right, I had a girlfriend that actually worked inside of a jail, and she was telling me how she didn't really have to do anything. Other prisoners in the prison would actually keep other prisoners in check. And if you think about it, black people, as we walk around, there's other black people that will either kill us, or harm our family, or go tell on us. And it's everywhere we go. It's like the white man really don't have to do too much anymore. He's well delegated the power onto someone else that looks just like us. And it's that's how you keep all of us in order without even having to come down from the podium. He's never have to step foot in our communities, but he's like, I can get you in prison, then I can release the worst of you that'll go bring me more of you. It's not even, it's almost scientific at this point. It's almost like unless everyone gets up and gets angry at one time, that's it. Because when COVID was going on, they started football back immediately. That was one of the things they understood. Like sports, we got to get sports back because our slaves are waking up again, and they started sports back even when people can't breathe, and the numbers was off the charts. They say it was whatever, but they would just started all the sports back up really fast, and that's where we are now. And now everyone's back sleep again. Even now with the gas prices rose, no one's really saying anything. Like we're giving billions of dollars to Ukraine, a racist Nazi country. No one's saying anything. Is no one saying anything, or do we don't even have the ability to say anything?
That that's a fact too. Hey, you know what's so funny? Bring hey, bring that up to somebody. When they start talking about Will Smith and all this other shit, just be like, well, I don't know about Will Smith and Chris Rock and them, but I can tell you gas is $6 a gallon though. Like I can tell you that, and ain't nobody saying nothing about that. How is it $6 a gallon when we don't get damn near none of our oil from the Ukraine? So how's it $6 a gallon? And why is it this president that's in the position of power, he ain't even said anything about black folk? He keep talking about, see, they play the little word salad, words with friends game. I don't know if you remember that was a real popular game like
Yes,
10 years ago. They
yes.
played a words with friends game. Like you be like, well, can I get reparations? Oh yeah, we gonna make sure it's for people of color. No, 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 no. Don't say people of color. Because now you talk about East Indians, you talk about Puerto Ricans, you talk about Cubans. No, no, no. You talking about black folk. Then they'll be like, yeah, minorities. No, no, no. You talking about white single women. People don't even know, most elderly black folk don't even know minorities are white single women. No, no,
Yeah.
no. Specifically black folk. Black folk that can trace their lineage back to a plantation, they're deserving of reparations. Look at it now. Look, you said you was in. You said you was more down south. Now, if you come more west coast, oh, it's 10 times worse. It's 10 times. It's so expensive coming to the west coast. A lot of people are leaving the west coast and going down south
I was in
because
the
they can't afford it.
I was in the military. I was stationed in Seattle, Washington. So
Okay,
yeah, so I saw a lot. And even when it comes to the Indians that Joe Biden said, these people get $2,000 a month checks, and they get half a check for each child, and the other half of the check goes into an investment account that when the child turns 18, they get to take that out to pay for college. And the college is free. So all the Indians, they get to go to college for free. They already have their reparations. This isn't like what Joe Biden said was complete bullshit. And he knows it. That's what I'm saying. So he understands no one's gonna check him. He understands what's going on.
facts.
Military, I understood what it was like the whole rank. And they say the president is he's basically the commander in chief of the military. So if I know what you a private, a sergeant, staff sergeant, none of these people are gonna go up and talk to a captain. He's gonna send it up the chain of command. And the guy next to the captain, he's just there to protect him from any bullshit to get to him. No one, he doesn't, Joe Biden doesn't even know. But then I have something that's kind of controversial that's always been on my mind. Okay, so basically, if you look, who isn't in America when it comes into the black community, who really doesn't get any benefits whatsoever? Like, really, if you really sit back and we think about this and we iron it out, it's very controversial to even bring it up because they're going to say you hate someone. But if you really think about it, black males, we get no benefits. Everything we get is grind. Everything. But then you look back and you're like, okay, if I put a baby in this woman, I can actually get her check. If I go over here, like if she's homeless, she's gonna get housing. If she needs to go to college, they're gonna give her college money. That's almost like reparations. But then when you sit back, that young black boy, he has to go and then I had to damn near destroy my body to get a scholarship to go to college. to get in college and realize that, oh, I don't even like this. I'm going to the military. That's and the military is what really helped me, bridge the gap of growing into an adult and seeing what's really going on, because I was able to be treated like a man within the military, and I understood like, oh, what they was doing to me outside on the streets was completely wrong. So when I got out of the military, it kind of made me almost like a spot check again, like, okay, now you're back being a black male, and no one's gonna look at you because you don't wear that uniform anymore. They're just gonna bypass you, like, So now it's like I understand something that's so deep within our community that I can't even explain it. Like, if you haven't followed the footsteps of being in certain places that I've been, it's like you're not really gonna understand when I start talking. You're gonna think like, oh, he thinks he's better than us, or he thinks and I'm like, no, listen, I see it, and I'm like, I don't know how we're gonna fix it when they're playing us against each other. It's like they're playing us against each other. What was it? I have the book right here. I read it. I got a list of books in my room.
Oh
Um,
well, hey, put me onto them list. Put me onto that list, cause hey, like Nearly Fuller Jr. I'm still learning. So if you got some books, make sure you let me know what they are, so I can add them to my cart, my Amazon cart, because I stay looking for books.
you probably have them, but the Willie Lynch letter. This is a book I'm holding in my hand right now. If you really pay attention to this book, the Willie Lynch letter, it's almost like, hold up, y'all. If anyone's been read you and you read this, you will almost take a step back from the table. You could not continue doing the same things that we're doing. The Emancipated from Mental Slavery, the Marcus Garvey, that book, the Marcus Garvey Message to My People, the Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson.
By cart, yeah, I got that one. I got that one. I got the Marcus Garvey one, the
The
Willie
Money,
Lynch letter. That's the one that I want to get next. The Willie
the,
Lynch letter.
the Moynihan Report, the Negro Family. That book there breaks down a lot of what happened to us.
You wait. Say that again, man. Hold on, cause I'm about to put this in my cart. So say that again.
The Moynihan Report. It's the Negro family, the case for national attention,
Okay.
and it breaks down through statistically. It breaks down to statistically how we got to where we are, and
All right. I'm looking for it right now as you speak. You said the Miningham report.
yeah, the Moynihan Report, Moynihan report.
Okay. Mining. Hold on. Yeah. Hold on. Let me look. I'm typing it in. Miningham. Damn. Report. Let me see. Damn. I probably spelled it wrong. Dang. This is coming up as something else. You said Miningham. M-O what? So you said how you spell it again? Because I want to make sure you on mute. Your speaker's muted.
Oh, okay. Moynihan.
Okay. All right.
The Moynihan
There,
Report. It'll be
boom.
the, the case for
Yes.
action.
Yeah, the case for national action, the U.S. Department of Labor.
But
Oh
these
yeah,
politicians like Biden, them, they was here. There was around these times. I think Biden was a politician. And when this all started happening to us, so he knows. It's not like you don't know. It's like these guys
facts.
have so much history, and they'll come and tell you about Caesar and the Egyptians and all this, but you telling me they don't know how black people
Hey, that's so. I'm about to. Hey, I'm about to steal that from you, brother.
go ahead.
I'm about to steal that one from you. That's cold. What you just said. Hold on. You said, so they can tell us about the Egyptians and all this other stuff, but you can't tell us about the stuff that you done to us. But you can tell us about all that stuff. That's cold right there. I like that one. I'm gonna use that.
Because it's even today, like like it was, with the police killings and all today, man, this is terrifying. Like, you see what happened on video. Can you imagine what our ancestors went through without video? I can't even, like, I can't even bring myself to even like I can't trust these people. Like we can't trust these people because these people sit right in our face and tell us, racism doesn't exist. But then they turn right around and tell us like, hey, the Peace Corps that we're sending over to Ukraine, the same people we're sending billions of your tax dollars to, they're gonna call you all type of derogatory terms, but try and figure out another way to handle it. They know what they're doing. There is, and if us as a collective don't wake up, it's our ancestors is in trouble, especially with the immigrants. You see the way the immigrants like treat us online and talk to us online. But when I was in Seattle because down here down south, it's not really. It's more like the people that's down south. Their ancestors. We've been here forever. I moved back to a town close to where I'm from. Like I look at the census reports and I can go to these addresses that the census has on the paper of my family all the way back to 1811. So even my uncle lives in a house that on a road that was made that's named after my grandmother when they came here from Charleston, South Carolina, because we're Geechee people.
Oh, okay, y'all Geechee. Okay, Gullah Geechee. That's what it is. All right, that's what's up. You muted. You muted if you speaking.
Okay,
You
yeah,
muted.
yeah, we're Geechee people, and my grandmother, her name's Rosanna McNeil, and if you look that name up, you'll know she's buried in, I believe I know it's the Indian cemetery down in Charleston. So when they say our ancestors like we're original, we're always been here, I'm starting to get on the trail to be like, okay, guys, look, I can't find where my family was never here. I can't find it. Like even when Tariq Nasheed said, have you ever really? I believe it was Tariq Nasheed. He said, have you ever really sat down at a family gathering? They talked about Africa. No, we have never. Like I have never heard this. Like even when I was a child, when they say we was African American, it was a joke, like I ain't never been to Africa. I never like no, we've never I don't think we've really I believe we might have came here a long, long before any of this, but I really believe we've always been here. And the town, I read an account of this town. This is an old, old, old town that I'm in. And I read an account of this town, and it said before any white man was here was an Aboriginal red man. I can post it on my Twitter account, and I'll post it again. I know I posted it before, but even then, they're talking about the Aboriginal red man. And I look at my skin, and I'm not dark. When I get hot, I get red. Like if you really look deep into my skin, I'm not really dark. I'm not really a dark complexion person. My family, we're not really dark people. Like, and we don't really. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Keep going though. Keep going. You muted. You muted right now. So keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's about it. That's about it. I'm gonna give the mic.
No, what you saying is real. Like, think about it. When you sat down when you was a kid, in family gatherings and stuff like that, the majority of the time they're not talking about Africa in its totality. They're talking about, whether it's the plantation, the hoodoo, the voodoo, or elixirs that were made, back in the day in the early 1800s or the early 1900s. You never really heard family members talking about, yeah, because when we was in Africa, you never really heard those tales or those stories of that type of history being passed down. That's more from, like you said, that's more of an immigrant hearing those stories. Us, foundational Black American people, or ADOS people, or native Black folk, as Dr. Claude Edison calls it, we are from it. We were already here. Like I was talking to my brother last night on his Twitter space, and I told him, I said, man, I really truly believe they know we was already here, but they would rather turn the attention on the red Native Americans and segregate them from us as if there were no Black Indians or no melanated Indians. Because if you think about Christopher Columbus, he said that when he got here, it was already Black people here. So that you can't discover something where you already go and people are already there. But these are the same people that will take history out, remix it, put other things in it, take things out that benefit them, and put things in, that don't benefit them. That's why you got a lot of older Black folk they'll just tell you straight out, vote for Joe Biden. They
Yeah.
won't tell you why you need to vote for him. They won't give you no statistics. And then when you start giving them, you know, uh, what's that book by Michelle Alexander, The New Jim Crow? You start giving them, because that book ain't nothing but statistics. You start giving them that book. You start talking about the '94 crime bill. They don't want to talk about that. Oh, that's a long time ago. Well, he put over 500,000 black folk in prison behind that bill. And then when he was questioned by Charlemagne, you see what he said. Oh, well, they wanted that bill.
Family members of us. And then when that's one other like thing that when you really look at how the Christian church is able to be used the way they are able to be used, you understand.
Facts.
Okay, I can believe those. I think it was Dr. Black Truth who say don't trust those old niggas, and that's like when I say that is one of the things when I come in contact with an older individual, I understand this person is about to say something so wild that with a slave mentality behind it that I'm not gonna believe it. And every time they do it, like Willie D is someone I listen to, and he makes me angry. But he's an older black man that I like to listen to him to see what he's gonna say. And it's like he sat on his show tonight and he said, basically he hates Trump, but Biden's just like Trump, but Biden's a soft Trump. And I'm like, do he really even know what he's talking about? Because Trump actually promised something. He promised you something. He actually promised you something. The Democrats has never promised anything, and they refuse to even talk to us after they get elected. Obama was up today. Him and Joe Biden was up today, just making a mockery of the whole thing. Their minds are somewhere else. It's like Obama already came out. He said, I wish I could have did something, and now it's the time for you to do something, and you refuse. You just refuse, and it's not like it's a mistake. It's on purpose. Every black person should be able to see that. Hey, maybe this is on purpose, y'all. Like maybe it's time to wake up and like not go to work tomorrow or something. I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do, but something has to change.
let I'll just say this. Not only does it have to change, we have to understand exactly what is meant for us to do right now. And there's a movement right now, and you see a lot of people trying to be a distraction. You see a lot of people trying to do things that are deterrents and sow discord. And the thing about the black church that I don't like, because I always talk about I grew up in the black church. Black church don't arm you how to deal with racism and white supremacy. The black church arms you to, I would say, acquiesce or go along to get along. Go to work, get you a good job, pay your tithes, and in their eye, you're successful. But let me tell you something. How successful can you be when you can't even pass knowledge down to the next generation because the only thing you know is that one book? How does that work? That's the question I'm gonna ask you now. How does that work?
My
You being able to be successful or whatever, but you can't pass nothing down but that one book, which is the Bible.
my mother's husband is 75 years old. This man can't read a lick. When I tell you he can't read or formulate a sentence out of any type of college literature book, but he'll sit back and try to educate me on the Bible and what the Lord told me to do. And I'm like, who told you that? Because obviously you didn't read it. Because you can't. I know you can't read because I do a lot of your paperwork for you. I know how far you made it in school. Don't get me wrong, he's a good worker. He'll get out and he'll work and do what he got to do all day, even to the day at 75 years old. He still feel like he has to get out and he has to work. It's like he can't sit home and enjoy his life. It's like you guys are basically retired twice and you just can't sit home and enjoy your life and find something else to do with your time. It's like I have to get out here and I have to work for somebody. I've never I don't understand it. I don't know. I don't
You know what, man? When you dealing with most church people, the first thing they're gonna do is bring up the Bible. Once you start deviating from that and start talking about racism, white supremacy, establishing the system of justice, and doing things that need to really get done, they're going to start quoting scriptures. And that's fine. You can quote the scriptures. But I always had this joke. But I can't speak in tongue at my corporate plantation job when the dominant society wants to let me go, or wants to be in an email war with me, or wants to prod and poke and say certain things. First of all, sometimes you ain't going to be able to call on that scripture. You're going to have to know how to be able to deal with racism, white supremacy at these corporate plantation jobs. And a lot of that Bible don't teach you that. And when you're dealing with racism, white supremacy, it's a whole nother ball game. It's not the Bible. We're not at church where we're around people and everybody know how to conduct themselves for the most part. You know, when you're dealing with the world in its totality, I talk to my brother David from No Compromise podcast all the time. I tell him, man, when you're dealing with the world, this is, you're dealing with the matrix. You're dealing with shit that appears to be real, but it's not. It's a visual residual image of who you are, like, because people want to be in the internet. So then you got everybody looking at the internet thinking that's the way to go. You understand what I'm saying? So then after that, when you do try to have these conversations with a lot of black Christians, they look at you as divisive. Like if you told the average black Christian that, hey man, Joe Biden is not doing nothing for us, you know what they're gonna tell you. Oh, so you can't be like that. We've come so far. And really, how much progress did we make? Barack Obama never said black the whole time he was in office. He was in office for 8 years. He never did anything specifically for black people. But they'll argue you down. But these are the same people that'll argue you down when you tell them, so okay, then you want me to believe in God? Yeah, I'm gonna believe in God. Okay, then why hasn't God given you the knowledge to give to us so we can be entrepreneurs? Why? What? You understand what I'm saying?
Understand exactly what you're saying. I'm about to elaborate on what you're saying. So you ever heard of Valhalla? It's a Norse religion that a lot of the white people. Okay, I was in a special operations unit, first group down at Joint Base Lewis McChord. They call it. It used to be Fort Lewis when I was there, but it's JBLM because they connected the Air Force Base to it. So a lot of the guys I was in there with, a lot of white guys, they believe in this thing called Valhalla. Like they believe they die in battle, they go to, even if it's you have to die in battle though. It's like you can't just die on your couch, or you can't just die peacefully. You have to die in battle, like almost like causing pain to someone. These people really believe that that's the only way to really get to peace. Like, they say the Muslims want their 17 virgins and whatever they get when they die. These people really believe this, and that's why a lot of us ask, like, how could someone do that? When you see a police shoot someone 20 times, like, and you see all of this military action, you ask, how can someone do this? Because they're not living off no Christian religion that we're taught. We're taught to turn the other cheek, and we're taught, humanity and to be peaceful with people. These people are really taught to tear your asshole apart from a child. They're not. It's completely different. It's completely contrary, and it's a lot of is our subjugation profitable to the black church? As long as we're in subjugation, it's almost like they understand they can make a profit from us. And the moment when we don't see ourselves as being subjugated, it's almost like we might walk away and find something different. Because a lot of people that I know who actually have something and have, then learned the way of the world, they almost walked away from the Christian church. Almost every black male I know who actually has gotten up and their mother not telling them, or their grandmothers don't have influence over them anymore, or the older black males in their family don't have that influence anymore, they don't go. They find something else to do with their time. I know a lot of guys who are almost turning to Muslims now because it's like they're seeing different things. Go.
You saying facts though. You speaking real facts. I just think that I really do. I always say that there's nothing wrong with the black church as far as having it for our society as a totality. The problem that I have specifically with the black church is it's not enough financial education. It's not enough history education. And I'm not saying you go to church for religion. I get that. But a lot of our black religions are very close minded. And a lot of people, I remember before somebody was like, because I would always be like, watching the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speeches, a long time ago. And, I remember somebody asked, why are you always watching them? And I said, I watch him because he doesn't just talk about being a Muslim. He talks about being a Christian. He talks about being a Buddhist. Talks about being Jewish. People just put this stigma on this man because he's brilliant and he's smart and he's very, very knowledgeable about other religions. And he doesn't talk bad about other religions. What he does is tell people study other religions, study everything, study from the cradle to the grave. That's what the Quran teaches. And when I told this brother that, he was like, "Oh, I didn't even know that." I said, "Yeah, because most black religions, they're making it seem like their way is the only way to whatever heaven or hell it is. And in between that, there's not enough education about not just other religions, about the United States of America incorporated as a whole." The reason why I say that is because how many preachers do you know can break down the Federal Reserve, my brother? How many preachers you know in churches you've been to can do a whole lecture on the Federal Reserve? Its inception, how it started, what's the purpose of it, what they're doing right now? No. I didn't even know about the Federal Reserve in its totality until I started really listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. And people, and I tell people, it's not about joining the Nation of Islam. Just get the knowledge, because knowing about the Federal Reserve, knowing about where your taxes go, knowing about just life education and what the dominant society has done to black folk as a whole, that's very imperative and very important for us. And I feel like a lot of the times, bro, you're right. It's a lot of our elderly brothers and sisters that, I keep going back to that point you made, that got their retirement. I'm trying not to laugh, but got their retirement. They didn't work their 20, 30 years. Life is good for them. They can chill, they can kick it, they can go on vacation, and they don't want nobody rocking the boat for them. So now they feel like it's a whole kumbaya. And just like me and you talked about earlier, yeah, man, most people that work a corporate plantation job, when they put themselves in a certain position, they Gucci. They ain't gotta fight no system. All they gotta do is just go along to get along. But then what are you teaching the next generation or the people up under you? Well, just long as you get yours, right? Think about it in this. Think about it when
Yeah.
when Bill Russell and Kareem and all them got together and was helping Muhammad Ali because the dominant society was trying to take everything from him. But Muhammad Ali was able to fall back on the Nation of Islam and fall back on other black activists that had money. Do you understand what I'm saying? We don't have that now. That's why you have LeBron James and them. They'll apologize in a minute because ain't no other black NBA players gonna put their checks on the line for LeBron because they got their families to worry about. What you
When you
think about that?
motive plants in Detroit, yeah, it was families and generations that was dependent on pensions and depending on that constant check coming from those automotive plants. Look at Detroit today. If you put, this is what like working at the corporate plantation, this is where we end at. Because when they want to shut that company down, they'll just come and make a new rule and tell you, hey, you remember that pension we was going to give you? We're going to give you 25% now. Like, so you've been working here your whole life and you're going to retire in 5 to 10 years and we're going to let you go today and we're going to give you a little something. But that little something, we know we guarantee is not going to be enough to do what you was doing while you were here. And
That's a fact. That's a fact.
I
That's a
have a
fact.
just my auntie's almost she's I know she's in her 50s. I want to say maybe mid 50s, late 50s. And she saw what I've been able to do in my 32 years of life. And she, we had a conversation. Her husband, he retired from the train station. So he gets his pension and he's back working at the train station because that's what the older generation do. They never sit down. Right? So and they never figure a way to invest their money. I took my money and I invested my money in real estate and I do a little stuff on the side with weapons because of my training. So what happened? She's almost in her mid 50s. She's just getting her master's in nursing, her master's in nursing, and she works at the VA. So the whole thing when she was looking, she was basically she's like, in order for me to pay off all of the debt that I have and make something, she's understanding that, oh God, I'm gonna work the rest of my life. And I'm like, yes, this is what they want you to do. They want you
Facts.
to not even see it. Like you put your head down in that book, and when you look up, You're gonna have gray hair and bad health. And she was like, what is y'all generation gonna do because they're not giving you pensions? I said, exactly. What are we gonna do?
Hey, let me ask you this question. I want to ask you this. Let me ask you this because you spitting real hot fire. What do you think about how everything is going right now, inflation, prices, and all other stuff? What do you think we need to do to stay focused? What is it we need to do as black folks, especially us? What do we need to do to stay focused and not get veered off course with the Will Smith shit and everything else? What do you think we need to do?
I said, okay, so right now, man, I got 10 acres out in South Carolina, and I have it all fenced off. I I try barely to even come in contact with people on a regular basis, man. Like I don't even really, woo, I don't. It's scary out there right now, man. I go to the corner store, man. The little young guys that look like me, they look like they want to kill me, man. Like I don't. I think they've put something in our the way they allow our younger generation to be raised. I was gone for a long time, man. I was gone almost, I say about 10, good 10 years. I was gone from this place. And they don't, and when I come back, all the little kids, when I left, they're now teenagers. Probably about 10, 14, about 14 years. And when I got back, they're all teenagers. So I really didn't spend enough time in the community for them to know who I am. And now I'm kind of like I'm kind of standoffish because I have my children and I know my children are going to need me more. But it's like going to the store is the way that you could tell the way they look at you. It's like, who are you? And I don't care about your life. And it's like, when I was growing up, older men got respect from us. Like I actually respect the older men, and I respected what they thought and what they said. If they started talking, it's like we got quiet and we actually listened. That's not. I don't. Today I can't really. I'm an honest question. If I ask you honestly, I don't even know. I feel like we all have to work on ourselves, and it's almost. I don't want to say separation within ourselves, but all of us aren't going to make it. All of us together as one collective group, I don't know if we can all make it. Because if you look how they can come in with a new music video or a new dance and it takes over the community and they understand it. It's like people expect me to know how to dance and I'm like, I would never act like a clown in front of anyone because I want to be seen as a man. I don't know. I can't tell you. If I'm being honest, I couldn't tell you.
But you just did tell me. You just did. And because I put this on my YouTube, so my YouTube family that listen, very small family, and I like it like that because I don't do the cloud chasing on my YouTube channel. They're gonna agree with me. You just told us. Stay away from the distractions. Stop letting you don't even realize you told us. Stop letting the new dances and the new whatever the hell is going on distract us from what we need to be focused on. You just told us. And I always ask anybody that's on my spaces, what do you think we need to do? You just told us the answer. We need to. You the first person that ever said, "Hey man, we need to stop glorifying the new dance and pay the hell attention to what's going on." So you just told us without even knowing that you told us. Like, man, all these little because you're right. They're very, very big distractions in our community. But if we look at it in the totality of things, especially the dominant society, that's not a distraction. They put the distraction out there. That's not their distraction. Like they're not worried about that. That's for the weak. Them, the predators, they already got something else in charge, and we're the prey. It's either you the food or you the hunter. And you're right. If we don't stay away from these distractions and we stop letting the new dance, because you're right, we always want to do the new dance, and we always want to keep talking. Like I've never seen so many people talk about the Will Smith and Jada Pinkett shit for so long. I thought it was gonna go away by yesterday. You know what I mean? And Yet again, we talking about it, and yet again, we talking about it. And I get it because that's the newest topic, and everybody's making excuses. But either you're a Jada Pinkett side or you're Will Smith side. You know what side I'm on? I'm on the side of replacing the system of racism and white supremacy and establishing the system of justice. Meaning, the person who gets the most help gets the most constructive help. That is black folk. So we need to stop paying attention to the distractions. Like my brother said, the dancing and all. You right. Because when a new dance come out, man, you talk about viral and you talk about distraction. They do challenges about the new dance. They do YouTubes about the new dance. They do all kinds of stuff about the dance. But that's just stuff that I feel like we need to stay away from. And I do agree with you, my brother. Like you said, that's some real shit. That's real game right there. And let me piggyback off that. Not only just that, I think we need to start holding ourselves accountable, checking ourselves, and then holding each other accountable by our actions, not by telling somebody. You see what I'm saying? Like we so quick, like that's like you, my brother. You let's say me and you like, hey man, uh, hey Warren G, man, I wanna start a business. Instead of me saying, man, that's good, man. What you want to do? Okay, cool. That sounds straight. We so quick to be like, man, why you want to do that? Well, do you got this and you got that, you got this, you got that. It's like, well, damn, man, this is just a brainstorm. But we're so quick to shoot each other down. That's a distraction too. Because black folk become compartmentalized and we internal shit because we don't want to talk to each other because we're so critical of each other. Because we don't hold any value when we see each other. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
we don't hold no value. Think about
yeah,
it like this. You got a nice car. I say this all the time. When you see somebody with something nice, tell them, man, that's nice, man. But then that person that's receiving it, they looking at you crazy because they don't know if you trying to rob them. They don't know if you trying to set them up. They don't
trying
know if you being facetious or being funny because we are a broken people collectively because everybody's household kind of has replicated the bad characteristics of the dominant society. And you're like, well, what do you mean, Warren? Meaning this. They gave us their version of religion, and most black families will raise you up to praise that religion. And it's no diss. They gave you Santa Claus, you will praise Santa Claus and be pissed off if somebody tell your kids, cousins, sisters, brothers, ain't no Santa Claus. On Easter, they will have you and your kids doing Easter egg hunts and eating chocolate bunnies and it's about bunnies and all this other shit. And damn well we all know bunnies don't lay eggs; they lay shit. So I don't understand why, but we do that because it's just the tradition. And my final one is Democrat. How many black folks, my brother, have you been around that will just tell you to vote Democrat because we vote Democrat because they for the black folk? How many people tell you that? Because
all
I
of
get, yeah, how many people tell you that? I
okay.
got told that. You see what I'm saying?
So I talked to my mother before last voting season, and my mother would come out of her mouth. She don't know nothing about none of this, like, so I can have a kind of an offline conversation with her. But she don't know why she votes Democrats, but that's what she's doing. She's doing she votes every year of her life. Every year that voting comes up of her life, she's voted. And she votes Democrat. She voted Democrat this year. She don't know why. She didn't know who was running. She don't know the background of the people who was running. When I tried to tell her about Joe Biden, I'm like, your brother went to jail for crack cocaine, and his sentence was so long. And the same white man went to jail for about the same amount of coke, and he basically got out the next day. Joe Biden did that. Your baby daddies, because my brother, dad, drug dealers and stuff like that. All of the stuff they were going through. Joe Biden had a hand in all of that, right? They, they're not getting it. They can't see it. They can't. I think because they watch this news that's down here every day, and this WPDE and stuff like that. It's the little Sinclair owns all of it. Sinclair and these news stations, and they pick these stories and they shoot these people these same stories in every state. And when you only have they used to growing up where they only had like a couple of channels. So the channels that even though we got all these channels, if they're not watching a Western, like an old Western style movie, they're watching the news in the morning. Every time when I go over there watching that news, and that news is like brainwashing because that news is only giving them what they want to hear, and it's constantly. And what it's showing the crime rate. And when it shows the crime, it's like they're picking all the people who look like us to show the worst type of crime that we do. So even them people, they look at us as if, oh, he look just like that person, So it's a psyop, almost like the CIA has started up for us to be pushed into this area, and we can't come back from it. It's like it's that Willie Lynch. Look at the Willie Lynch letter. Read the thing, and it almost it tells you how our society is doing. It's like we're sick, and we need antibiotics.
And no, I'll even take it further. We're sick, but we need natural herbalists. We need the Dr. Sebis. We need the Tahuti Ma'aras. We need the Layla Africas. The reason why I say that is because I always relate it to the Matrix. You have the Morpheuses and the Trinities, and then you have the ciphers. If you go, because that movie was written in the 80s and wrote by a black sister named Sophia Stewart. Very phenomenal movie. And when you watch the first one, what did he say? If you ever seen the Matrix, what did he say to the agent? He told Agent Smith, ignorance is bliss. Like, I know I'm ignorant. I know this isn't real. My mind is telling me this steak is real, but it's not really real. This isn't the real world. But since I'm in this world, I want to be able to do whatever I want. Think about it. They got the metaverse. They're making and constructing the damn matrix right in front of everybody's eyes, and people act like they don't know what's going on because they want people to walk around in an imaginary world. So you so doped up on social media in the imaginary world, you done forgot about reparations. You done forgot about Alton Sterling and Philando Castile. You done forgot about all those things. You done forgot about how the Black Lives Matter women took the money and went and bought mansions and shit with it. That's the problem with us. We always want to run game on each other. But when it comes to running game on other racial groups, we be too afraid to do that. But we will run game on each other. And then when you have people like Brother Tariq Nasheed that stand up, that's handling business, I've never seen so many haters in my life. Well, where's the museum and where's this? People that are not from LA should not even speak on what's going on. I'm from LA. It is not easy to buy no building on Crenshaw when they did a $2 billion project to put a subway on Crenshaw. So you're not going to be able to just buy that. That takes a lot of hard work and dedication, but we're so programmed to feel like everybody that's already been stand up, oh, they running the scam on us. And then the people that's really running the scam, we don't even think they are. Them Black Lives Movement ladies, them ladies got paid off of Black Lives Matter. And ain't nobody even really talking about it. You know what I mean? And that's because they did that to us because we don't have intrinsic value. The reason why I say we don't have intrinsic value, I always talk about this. Think about it like this, man. When we are looking at each other, a lot of the times we're looking at each other through the eyes of the dominant society, my brother. So when we look at each other through that lens, what do you think we're going to see each other as? The enemy, competition. But if you look at Dr. Claude Ennis's teachings, he says racism is the competition of resources. So we're on the same team. So I don't understand why so many people want to be divisive, like that lady Tarana Burke. Why would you make a documentary about R. Kelly when we already know who R. Kelly is? We know about the R. Kelly and Aaliyah situation. If that family is not speaking on that shit, black folk need to understand sometimes, just let it alone. Do y'all see the dominant white society and the Jewish community airing out all their dirty laundry? They still ain't told on Harvey Weinstein. They still won't say nothing about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. But we can't wait to tell on R. Kelly and Bill Cosby. This is what I mean by we don't have intrinsic value, my brother. Because when we do have it, it will display in our actions and we won't be so quick. Let's say me and you, we got a deal going and it went belly up. You know how gangster it is for me and you to have that discussion behind closed doors and we don't got to air it out. for the dominant society to see it, because that's how grown men are supposed to handle things. But what we like to do is air out our dirty laundry so everybody can see it, and then our people as a whole, it becomes our movements become decadent to every other racial group because it becomes a circus or a clown show. When in actuality, just look at the dominant society. As the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan always says, study the white man. That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him. Study the white man. And if you study him and you watch him long enough, do y'all ever look at Joe Biden? His son was got a crack pipe and everything. I did a podcast on it. Crack pipe, all this stuff. Do you see anybody talking about Joe Biden's son? That's the question that I'm going to ask y'all. Why is it we will put our shit out there, but the dominant society does not? That's what I'm asking y'all. Y'all can answer at any time.
That's one thing I was thinking, that's one thing I wanted to bring up. Do you think it should almost, you see the how we're hurting our own community, and they understand this, all of this stuff is coming back from what's been done to us over generations. The reason we almost are looking at each other the way we look at each other from the white man's point of view. And if they wanted to protect us, do you think, I'm just asking a question, do you think maybe they should almost make it a bigger crime for a black person to hurt another black person, to harm another black person? Because it's almost like we're harming each other at such a, we could actually get into the hen house with our own people and harm each other. And it's like it happens so often to where we're starting to become more and more afraid of each other. And that's part of the standoffish. Even when it came up to Will Smith, what made Will Smith even give him the balls to say I can walk up on this stage and slap this black man and nothing's gonna happen to me? Like, what made T.I. think that I can talk all of this to this black female comedian that's on stage and nothing's gonna happen to me? Because we know if those was white people in a reverse role, that could not happen. That could not happen.
Go ahead, hey, go ahead, my brother. We got my brother David on. We got my other brother. You know what I'm saying? I was on his spaces. Very, very intelligent brother, man. The real one. That brother is very intelligent, man. I hope he graces us with his ability to drop game. And then we got my brother David from No Compromise in here. Answer that question for us, my brother David. Go ahead and answer that for us, my brother.
I did. You know what? And big up to you, brother. Sorry for coming in late, but I didn't hear the question. I just got in.
You want me? I'll repeat it. My brother just said, "Do you think it should be a greater crime when we harm each other? Because it's getting to the point to where when we see each other, it's a judgmental thing. We're in fear. What is this dude gonna do? What is he gonna do to me? What am I gonna do to him? It's almost. He said it's almost like when we in the hen house, we just ready to go to war with each other, against each other. You know what I mean? And why is it people like Will Smith or T.I. are emboldened to say things to our folk like Will Smith going up and slapping Chris Rock? Why was he so emboldened to do that? Because a lot of black folk feel like, well, if it would have been, let's see, any Conan O'Brien or somebody, he wouldn't have went up there and slapped the shit out of no white man. People think he would have, but he wouldn't have done that. And he basically, the question is being proposed is this: should we have a higher crime, some type of not just a regular petty crime like something like if you harm another black person, you're gonna do real time. It's not gonna be the average time. Like, you shoot a black person, you shoot another brother, they'll give you 5 years if you plead out. He's basically saying if you commit a crime against another black person, it's gonna be escalated. So you're gonna get the mandatory minimum, like 20 years. You see what I'm saying? Just for small crimes, so we can stop doing it. Do you think we need that?
No, no, I don't think we would need that, because essentially that's similar to, and I've thought about that before, but that's similar to kind of viewing it from the perspective of like black on black crime, or yeah, black on black crime. You know what I'm saying? All of these acts that we commit against each other, we were engineered to do that to each other. If you were to leave black people alone for 50 years, or just give us 50, leave us alone, separation, black people will build. We the inappropriate behavior types, those type of people will be exiled from our community. There's nothing new under the sun. We've done that before. This is how you had your black Wall Streets, your redwoods. You had your black neighborhoods all up in Brooklyn and New York. You had you had the Wilmington and the Durham. Like you had black neighborhoods, and what they did was the inappropriate folks were exiled from that community so that they can build. So those Sambos, those uh uh those Aunt Jemimas, they were exiled. They weren't given any of our resources. Those people who would compromise the community, those folks who would who were have a high risk of snitching, I guess if you want to say a notorious manumission, those people were pointed out and they were exiled. Period. O.W. Gurley, people look at him, they view his pictures, right? And they say, well, I mean, they see him as the older guy, but they don't understand when O.W. Gurley, he as a younger fellow, this dude was the man. This dude will walk around, he'll break your back. You know what I'm saying? He didn't play no games. He just wasn't someone who just walked around with money, off of the reparations that they were given during the oil rush and everything. Like he just wasn't someone who just got in and just went in. I mean, this dude actually had respect. So you had him, you had other females who opened up, black females who opened up black banks and banks and was funding that area. You know what I'm saying? So that they can develop they can have their own bus line, everything, man. So those folks, again, they held the respect. So everybody knew, yo, if you're going to live over here in this area, we're not going for the nonsense. And at the time, what people don't speak about, right? I'm not saying that you guys haven't, but I'm saying what white media or even some sellout black medias, when they speak about the Black Wall Street and these other black neighborhoods, what they don't speak about is the fact that we had low crime rates. It took a couple of years to build Black Wall Street over in uh Oklahoma. You know what I'm saying? It took years to build it over in Florida, Redwood. It took years. But look what happened. These were folks who were just coming from sharecropping. Some of them had parents who was just coming from slavery. But look what happened. They made something out of nothing. We had low crime rates. The only thing we didn't have was strong enough security. We had security, but it wasn't strong enough. So if we follow in that same pattern, but we use the technology that we have to our advantage, we wouldn't need to make the penalty more severe, because we would have within our community, we would have psychologists, black psychologists who understand the black mind and who understands the trauma, the post-traumatic slave syndrome that we all carry. It's in our DNA. They will be able to help us with these situations and with our stories, with our trauma. We would have people like Dr. Joy DeGruy who would be in our community, who would be able to sit down with us and talk, conversate, give us advice. We would have people like Sister Shahazarah Ali, who can sit down, talk. She's a psychologist too. We would have had, and God bless her soul, Dr. Frances Cress Wilson. These were psychologists we would have had. So you know what I'm saying? So that right there, when you get all of these things out, when you take the post-traumatic slave syndrome, which killing each other is a post-traumatic slave syndrome. We were engineered to do this. When you take that out, you have less to worry about. You know what I'm saying? As far as criminal activity go, as far as the mistreatment and the self-hatred go, because the self-hatred, it would take time. That's going to take time, but the self-hatred would be dealt with. As of right now, we don't live in that type of system. We live in someone else's system. We live in another group system. They don't favor us. They don't want to do anything for us. They have no intentions of doing anything for us. Therefore, living under their system, we have to go by normality, and normality. It's abnormal for black brothers to be peaceful towards each other. It's abnormal for black sisters to be peaceful towards each other. It's abnormal for black people to behave civilized. It's abnormal because that's the environment they brought us up in. But it's normal for us to do what we would do on TV: get up and smack somebody, get up and punch somebody, shoot somebody, believe that this guy, because your cousin got killed last week, you believe that someone around there in your area in Texas was down with that crime, and actually it wasn't. You got the wrong person, but you need someone to get, so you're just going to kill them. You're just going to take a life. It's easy for us to be able to take someone else's life because we've been psychologically and socially engineered to believe that our black lives really don't matter. I don't mean that as some fancy slogan, but before the organization that steals from us, we were again engineered to believe that. How? Through black inferiority. But again, if we were to give have 50 years to rebuild, those folks would be exiled. We would go right back into the business. I believe in the business of exiling folks, and we would go right back into that business, but we would do it at a higher rate. We would do it at a much more advanced level because it's easier to spot out the fakes now because it's been so much history that has happened and that we have lived through. We can look at a Sambo and spot him out. Yeah, there he go. You know what I'm saying? We can look at a Sambo on TV who is pretending to be one of us, but he's really is what Carter G. Woodson would call is a Oreo. You know what I'm saying? Black on the outside, but protects the interests of white folks on the inside. So I don't think in that sense, brother, that we would need to do that. I think first we have to develop our own nation. We have to develop of a self love that's stronger than any other. We got to develop that self love so that when we see another brother, we see ourselves in that brother. So if you're not going to harm yourself, you won't harm your brother. But because we have self hatred and we carry that gene, it is a gene. You practice it more than 3 times, it becomes a part of your DNA. So it's in our genes, self hatred. If we begin to start practicing self-love and self-worth, then we on to something. Then we won't need to do that. That's where I'm at with mines. I now on there is a situation. I think there are some situations in which, being that we don't have our own nation right now at the moment, I think there are some heinous acts that do need to be, that is not the same as any other crime. Like child molestation. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at another black child molesting them, things like that. Having a child, rather female or male, a mom or dad having a child, and selectively choosing to discard that child and not be a part of that child's upbringing. not rearing that child. Like you're making a conscious decision, things like that, because you're affecting our future. So anything that has to do with kids, yes, absolutely. With children, yeah, yeah. We don't have our own nation now, but more than likely, we had our own. If we have our own nation, we won't need it.
Good
It
answer.
won't
I
be. It
appreciate
won't be a
you.
heaven. It won't be heaven, but we won't need it. We
Good
won't need.
answer. Let me ask y'all this. I'm gonna ask y'all this. I'm gonna ask the room this, and I just want to know what y'all think in regards to the climate and today and the subject matter. Now, I saw a couple of things today. I saw the ladies, about the ladies that was stealing the, I guess they misappropriated some funds for the Black Lives Mover matter, stuff like that. I wanted to kind of get y'all thoughts on that. And two, me and my brother was talking, earlier, and he was dropping jewels about the Joe Biden thing. But I have to re-ask it again, and if he can, I hope my brother Jangle Leg can kind of even piggyback off of what he said earlier. I asked him a question about Ed Gordon asking Joe Biden about reparations. I'm trying not to laugh because I'm silly. Because the shit that that facial expression he made, in my opinion, I'm just gonna say it like this: the facial expression that he made was basically like "fuck y'all niggas." I'm not giving y'all niggas shit, but that's just I felt like that's what he was saying. But I want to know, what do y'all think about his response to Ed Gordon about the reparations? Anybody can answer at any time. Don't rush it once. Look, everybody. Y'all,
Well, and all in all honesty, I didn't even see that part today. I've been out all day. But I didn't see the facial reaction. Um, but I will say this though, it's no surprise, right? Joe Biden and his crew, they have no intentions on providing black people with reparations. And I hate to use the word providing. I would say giving us what we deserve. We are descendants of people who have been captured and held enslaved. We also are the descendants of people who have invented and built every single thing that we utilize in this country. Everything we benefit off of and other cultures, other races benefit off of, our ancestors did that. You know what I'm saying? So they have no intentions. It brings me back to when I said the other day that you have to pick your poison. Neither one of them are going to neither one of them are going to treat you good. Both of them are going to kill you. It's just that one is going to do it with style and the other party is going to do it with no style. Yo, when it comes down to it, the Democrats is that side in which they're going to do it with no style. They don't have any style, right? They're just putting it all in your face that we're not going to give you anything. We're just not going to give you anything. We have no intentions. Um, they are they are providing reparations for other race groups coming into this country without a problem. And it's not even like they're doing it on a low where we got to kind of scheme and try to plan and see how we can figure out and try to make up these conspiracies. Like they're doing it right in our face. You know what I'm saying? Right in our face. When Ice Cube stepped to both parties about reparations, one told him, "Yo, listen, hey, I'll hear you out, and it's okay." The other one said, "All right, listen, I'll hear you out after if I'm elected." Again, both doing the same thing. One got style, one has no style, but they both have no intentions on giving us reparations. So, in all honesty, I'll go back. I'm gonna go back and check it, but if he has if he has these reactions, I'm not surprised. This is the same man that said that we were predators. Why would you give reparations to people you believe is predators? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is one of those presidents, this is one of those cabins who they go by a lot of emotion, man. What bugs me out about it too is that his vice president sits right there and doesn't correct any of these situations. But the moment you say someone else is the president and I can't tell, she'll get on TV and she's like, his name, she'll tell you his name is Joe Biden, right? That's my slave owner's name. It's Joe Biden, because we know she loves white men, right? It's Joe Biden. And she wants to reiterate that and push that narrative of the white man is the greatest. And you better recognize that, Negro. Stay in your place. But she never corrects the situation and says, you know what, we've it's still in the talk, right? But then again, why would I even be surprised with that when she said before they even got elected, she said, listen, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do anything just for black people. It was crazy the way she said it. There was no evidence of any history known with her when it comes to black people here in America and our struggle. Again, our ancestors were they died on the job. So it's not that we just out there asking for reparations and we are petitioning and we're going to march for it. When we say we deserve reparations, we really deserve it, because when you are on a job and they died working on the job, the hours are continuously going. It's still going. So in essence, it never stopped. So where's that money being allocated at? Where is it being placed at? You know what I'm saying? So we deserve it, bro. And I think the biggest problem is that you have a lot of grassroots who are demanding that we get our reparations. It's not hard for them to give our reparations. Um, they're going to give it. If not right now, they're going to give it to these people coming over from Europe, from Ukraine and Russia and all that. They're going to give it to them when they come over here. Probably not in the form of cash, but maybe in the form of other type of benefits. Loans, bank loans, bank loans for your home, business loans. They're going to do their thing. They're going to look out for their cousins. That's their cousin, right? So they're going to look out for them. Again, we come to a crossroad basically as black people. Do we continue to fight for it, or do we just go along with building our nation, our own black nation here, because we need a personality here in America? And I say we go with both. We do both. We don't stop fighting, but we also develop our black nation. So when we get our reparations, when we get it, we can put that all into our black nation, versus we're looking at it as a individualism type of standpoint. And we just ball out and put that money right back into the slave owners' pockets. So I'm not surprised, my brother.
Man, I look, Jangle Leg. If you can give your sentiments and your thoughts. I know we talked about it earlier, but if you can kind of piggyback on what you were saying earlier, because he was driving. I'm gonna go back and listen to this, because he was saying some real shit from his perspective, man. What you think about What you think about the Ed Gordon question with Joe Biden?
All right. I'm gonna get around to it. Let me. I want to kind of go back a little bit to where when I asked the question, if maybe um we should probably look at a bigger crime when black folks harm each other. Because okay, I listen to Dr. Clyde Anderson, and I've been listening to Dr. Clyde Anderson for at least 5, 6 years, and everything this man has said has come to fruition. It has literally came to our doorsteps. Everything this man has said. Dr. Clyde Anderson already said, look, we don't have time. He called when the immigrants was going to be here. They're here at our doorsteps now. He called this years ago. He said, once they get here, that's it for us. Okay, we don't. What was told was we need 50 years. We don't have a year. We don't have 2 years up to ourselves. We don't have a community where it's just us to where we can almost nurse our people back to health on our own. We don't even have a space in America that works. Look at Atlanta. Look what's going on in Atlanta. You know, it was a young boy I guess it was 2 days ago, a young boy that ran a barbershop, 16, 17 years old, gunned down in front of his barbershop. And if you go around, you would notice a lot of our people who have the brains and able to get out of the community, they're being taken away from us before they have the opportunity to become anything great. What's going on with I go back to the Joe Biden situation. Joe Biden, this is the same guy that did the 94 crime bill. This is the same guy that literally you can go back down his track record and realize that he had contentions for black people since the day. He's been a politician forever, and this guy has literally shown us who he was. And somehow we, as a collective, as a group of people, we forgot about it and elected this guy into office again. And once we elected this guy into office again, he came exactly back and showed us who he was. Gordon, on that interview, it was basically, I felt his facial expression on my body when Joe Biden said that we should include Native. He will only consider giving reparations to Black Americans if Native Americans are included. Native Americans in America, a lot of people don't know because I guess they don't speak about it because I didn't know until I was out of the military and I was in a community where it was Puyallup, Washington, where it's a Native American reservation. And what they done is these people stay around the casinos and stuff, but they get 2,000. The adults with certain percentage of Native American blood get $2,000 a month reparations. Their children get half of that. Half of it is put into a trust fund in their college for their college and the rest of their life. And for him to even bring that up, to bring Native Americans into it, it was like he was trying to be facetious or trying to just be, how I don't even understand how we can't see it as a collective. Like for him to say that in front of all of us, even knowing that we know what's going on, we know that they're literally cutting to everyone but us.
You muted yourself. Good, but you were saying some real stuff though. I think just to piggyback off what Jangle Leg said, I agree with what is being said right now as far as the subject matter is being talked about. Do y'all remember? I don't know if y'all remember. I'm asking everybody here. It's this brother who has this podcast. I think it's called Socks and Sandals Podcast. He had Jane Elliott on his podcast. This was like a year or so ago. And then they were talking about reparations. And when they were talking about reparations, the first thing, now Jane Elliott does all this, supposedly racial injustice, which I don't think is racial injustice. All she's doing is regurgitating the same talking points that that Dr. Claude Anderson's been using, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's been using. All of our black thought leaders have been using this. It's just she's white and a woman, and she's authoritative when she speaks. So now it's kind of like, ooh, we need to listen to her. Well, this brother was like, so what do you think about reparations? She says, well, what about it? He was like, well, don't you think black people should get it? She's like, well, we can't start until we give the Native Americans their reparations first. That brother calmly responded this way. He said, well, they already got their reparations. They already got. She was like, well, do you want what they have? Because they didn't really get anything. He said, well, that doesn't have nothing to do with black folk. They the ones who accepted that type of repayment. So that's on them. If they got their reservations and their casinos and they're not happy, that's their problem. That's not a black person's problem. But what I liked his response, but what I particularly caught wind of was The first thing that dominant society lady said was, we got to give it to the Native Americans first, because that's systematic racism. You know what has been done to black folk, but you're still bringing up somebody else. The so-called Native American Indians didn't build this country. We built this country, as my brother David said from No Compromise. He said, man, we built this country. So why is it we will champion them because they can speak with a little twang, her and Tim Wise, and they peddle what I would like to call regurgitating points that somebody else has said a long time ago, and people hold them to some type of higher standard. But then when it comes to reparations, it's always the Native Americans, it's never black folk. So that's not replacing the system of racism and white supremacy. That's actually maintaining it. And I would compare it to this book I suggest everybody go read. It's called The Burglary, J. Edgar Hoover's Secret FBI. Now, those dominant society people that was in there, they changed the trajectory of how we see racism and white supremacy, because they are the ones who exposed the COINTELPRO program from J. Edgar Hoover. They broke into the FBI building and exposed it. Now, that's replacing that system and establishing the system of justice, putting him on blast. Now, my question to y'all is this. Why is it when the dominant society is asked that question, they bring up the Native Americans? That's my question.
I think that's one reason they don't. They claim, all right, so they classify everything that's true history as CRT, and it's almost like they're galvanized through labeling. You know, now it's like if you get a certain label here in America, you're a bad person, and they just need one thing that can give you that label. And all white society, the dominant society, understands that. Okay, I'm galvanized to go this way and attack this thing. The real history of America is now labeled under CRT, the critical race theory thing. If you bring that up inside of a conversation with anybody of the dominant society, that automatically, it's like it pushes an anger button inside of these people. Like, where I don't even understand what it is at this moment, because every time I hear CRT and I'm listening to it being explained, it's like that's completely not what it is, because they think we're trying to teach their kids something that's not the truth, when it's like they understood what they put in the books, and what we have been taught throughout school has been to get us to the point we are right now. Everything that they taught us was started from slavery. From when I was in history class in school, black people, we started from slavery and we ended where we are now. They claim, we're criminals and black on black crime. That's what we have been taught. But if you go back further than that and you understand the things that's been done to us in this country, how we got to the position that we're in now, it's almost like their children will start waking up to it. And if in order to get their children not to wake up to it, they claim CRT. They rather teach our children in school about homosexuality and all these other ills of society that will not get us to the place that we need to be as a people, than to teach our children about the actual history, things that happened down the road, down in Wilmington, the things about Tulsa. We really never studied that in school. Like, they might have mentioned it, but the way they mentioned it, it wasn't. They mentioned it to where it didn't seem like it was us as a people. It seemed like it was someone else. And the way we're going now is like we're almost repeating some of those same things, and because we weren't taught it in school, or we were never brought up to speed on any of it, it's like it's happening again, and we're not even catching on to how they're doing it. It's just systemically, it's systemic, I guess, systemic racism. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, so I would say number one, it's a lack of history, a lack of knowledge within their history. They're going off of the narrative, off of the history that we all are taught here in America, which is the history in all aspects through white supremacy perspective. You know what I'm saying? And so if we go by their word and their view of it, they're looking at it from the standpoint of, oh, those native Africans that, Trail of Tears, and they were removed from their homes and lands. Um, those are we're not talking about the natives. When they say natives, now we got to ask who and what were the natives. The natives of America that live here in America were black people. They were the Folsom and the Clovis people. Those were the natives. And then they crossbred with the Asians, and they had offspring. Their offsprings is who these Europeans met and said, oh, so they're the Indians. They didn't know what they were looking at, because these people don't know, they ain't know nothing about nothing. They just knew destruction. Those are the Indians. You know what I'm saying? And then it translated from Indians to the Americans, because they're naming America after another individual. So they don't know what about what. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes down to it, if you're going to say, well, we got to give reparations to the natives, you're actually still talking about us. It still comes right back to us. But they're going off of the lack of knowledge, and I don't mean that like in a but in others, they do have that knowledge. They do understand it. They know that we were here first. Hence, it's the reason why the whole FBA movement. It's not just, the foundation that we built, but a lot of folks was here in the 1500s. You know what I'm saying? AD, and even before that, black folks were already traveling back and forth. So we were already in the mode of building. It's those $5 Indians that they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And it's those Indians who what we would call Indians, but it was those 5 civilized tribes that they're talking about, right? Who did not want to be a part of the 5 civilized tribes. You have some of those folks. Those are the ones who were removed from their homes and all of that, who had to go through the Trail of Tears, all that stuff, and lost their land and all that. But you had the Chickasaw, you had the Cherokees. They were all down here capturing black people and bringing them back to the white slave owners. So slavery wouldn't even have been possible if it wasn't for the so-called Native Americans. Remember, they fought in the Civil War with the Confederates to keep us enslaved. And even some of them had us enslaved. These were not the same group of people that I mentioned earlier from the Folsom and the Clovis people. Those were pure breed blacks. This is a different breed who were mixed. They didn't look at us saying, hey, you know what, this is another brother. This is another, you know what I'm saying? They didn't have that type of, I guess what you would say, Pan-African type of thing. They didn't have that same mindset of, yo, I see him, he's the same like me. He's just like me. I can't double cross me. That's my brother. They didn't see it that way. Jane Elliott and Tim Wise will go down a line about the laws and politicals, in the political sense, and they'll touch on a little itty bitty of the psychological sense. You see, but when it comes down to it, when they get deep into it, they're not going to touch these type of issues because they know it's not going to back up what they're saying. So all in all, it still goes right back to the black man, to the black woman. Reparations is going to still be owed to us. This is our land. This is our land. The whole earth is our land, period, right? Another thing is they play the typical strategy that white people normally play, which is minimize any type of advancement black people can make financially. When it comes to economics, they would say any and everything. Well, you got to give this to the natives first, or what about the Asians? We got to go with that's their mode. This is what happens when they infiltrate. They've done it. They've become a part of the so-called black movements, and they've reiterated the same thing when you think about it, right? Let's break it down a bit. When you look at the Black Lives Matter, what do they say? They say this is Black Lives Matter. Okay, who was it started by? Three lesbian women. Okay, are they, even though they're lesbian, whatever, are they down for the struggle for liberation for black people? They're down for it, but it's got to come along with liberation for gays and trans and queers. Oh, so again, you want to pollute it. You know what I'm saying? You want to minimize it. That's what they do. Anytime it comes down to it, that's what they're going to. That's their strategy when it comes down to it financially. You know what I'm saying? But if we were to say and educationally, one of those two, you see, like the brother Jingle Leg just said about the CRT. When we want to educate our children properly, we want it done in public schools. They say, hey, well, you know what? It makes uncomfortable. See, now it's a problem. If we teach about them, we got to teach about all the races. Again, minimizing it. They want to pollute it. You see? So that's their strategy when it comes to black people advancing, again, economically and educationally. They're always going to use those two tools, and they're going to throw in another race group to pollute it, to dilute it. You know what I'm saying? So, and of course, because we as black people don't own and control anything that we are engaged with that affects us and our lives on a daily basis, because we don't own and control it as a whole, as a group, not individually, but as a group, because we don't, we fall victim to the white man's ice is colder. So whatever Jane Elliott says, it's just like Eminem rhyming, you know? It's dudes that's out here that will rip Eminem. It's all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's dudes in battle rap that Eminem wouldn't even, he can't even get on stage with. You know what I'm saying? However, I'm talking about black dudes. But because it's Eminem, he's considered, oh, he's one of the greatest. But I can name other dudes such as, that's just as nice as him or even better. But it's white man doing it. And because white man is doing it, it's better. You know what I'm
For
saying? And
sure.
that's just what it comes down to. And we starting to come down from white men, and it's going to start going to the Asians after a while. We're going to look up, and white people ain't even going to be in control anymore. You're going to have the Asians soon. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to be petitioning the Asians for reparations soon. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I believe, my brother. That's what I believe. We go back, again. It's the lack of knowledge and our historical past and our historical memory, and also the minimization and the dilution.
For sure. For sure. Hey, appreciate that. Appreciate that. I'm glad you was able to give us that perspective. I love it. Let's get my brother. My brother had his hand up. Man, the real one. Come on, man. Get in here, man, and spit that hot fire, man. Go ahead, my brother.
All right, man. Well, first things first, man. I want to give my kudos to you, FBA. You know what I'm saying? Jangle leg and no compromise, and for being in here, giving me your perspective. You know what I'm saying? Y'all spitting a lot of game in here. Um, the only thing I would say about reparations, without trying to, um, set off people antennas, is that we are owed reparations majority, from my opinion, for stolen land. You know what I'm saying? Because if I were to ask anybody in this room, when was a
Oh, my bad. I don't know what happened. Go ahead. Unmute yourself, man.
oh, it's
There
all
you
good.
go. Yeah, yeah. My bad. Hey, man, start from the beginning. Hey, I just want to kind of say this. No, this is no BS. This dude about to drop some facts. I'm sorry to hype it up, but I'm telling you, go ahead, my brother.
Yeah. If we were to ask, when was America actually established, or, you know what I'm saying, when was civilization established over here, or were there any nations established before Europeans came over here? And overwhelmingly, you know, even government records would say that Black people, quote unquote, are the original people of this landmass. You know what I'm saying? And we were reclassified just recently, up in past 1800s, late 1800s, going into the 1900s, and the terms that we use today to address ourselves are not the terms that we used to address ourselves with. We used to address ourselves by the nationality or the tribes that we were affiliated prior to European colonization. What had happened was, if you look at many of the states, a lot of the states have indigenous names or indigenous terms. And I don't like to use the word Native American because Native is a trick bag word. Everybody who's born in America is native to America. This is why they call those people Native Americans rather than indigenous, because these people were not here at the beginning. These people are of the Mongoloid phenotype, according to Johann Blumenbach and his scientific racist theory. But these people, based on appearance and their phenotype, they are not the original people. They were not building pyramids. They did not have any tobacco industry. They did not invent or domesticate animals such as camels. They didn't cultivate corn. You know what I'm saying? This was already done prior to European colonization. They didn't create soaps, none of that stuff. And so we have to really, get an understanding of who we are. We really need self-knowledge before we can even really push for an agenda. And that's important because there's a lot of people pushing for reparations for slavery who have never done their genealogy before. And they're basically um, they're basing their historical perspective off of hearsay. And we need to get out of that paradigm, because when we actually look at slavery as they taught it to us, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. All right. And there's a lot of things that, these white people have to verify before, you know what I'm saying? They should have verified this stuff before they even put this in our history books. You know what I'm saying? So, for instance, if I were to ask anybody in this room, and y'all feel free to answer the question, how many slaves were brought here from Africa over the past 400 years, since the 1500s? Does anybody have any idea?
I don't. Educate me, my brother.
No, I just want to know what people in the room think. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all might know what I know. I don't want to speak to people who already know what I know. If there's people who don't, who have another perspective, or they have some numbers in mind, I would just like to get y'all perspective real quick so I can answer the question, or so I can further explain, what I mean about this narrative. They said that millions came over here. When I was young, they used to say 100 million slaves came over here.
My bad, my brother. I'm laughing because what you saying. I laugh because what you saying is facts. Me and No Compromise, we talk about this all the time, bro. I used to get that too. Like,
Okay.
like, you know what my number was as a kid growing up? 15 million slaves was coming over in droves with ships, and I'm like, where? Remember, I told you last night where the
Yeah.
ships at? But go ahead, my brother.
Millions of slaves allegedly were brought over here from Africa to America. Now let's look at this critically. Now, before 1807, you really didn't have no steamboats like that to really be making those types of trips up directly across the Atlantic, going from Africa to the Americas. You know what I'm saying? It's just not really practical. A lot of people, like, honestly, even if you're going back to Columbus's era, you know, the ships that he was taking over here, it a lot of it is shrouded in mystery and conspiracy, and you really can't prove a lot of things. And so when you look at Columbus, his name ain't even Columbus. People don't even know whether or not he's from Spain, Italy, or Portugal. And that's real. You know what I'm saying? This is why he has multiple names. But originally his true name is apparently Zarco, Fernando Zarco. So, and he was a Portuguese Jew. So, the reason why I say this is they give us these little facts and details, or they say facts. They give us these little details of the narrative, but when you really start looking at the details, they don't add up. When they give you depictions of Africans that were on these boats, it's always artwork. It's always some type of conceptual art. And then the art don't even make sense when you look at it from with a critical perspective. How is you going to have ships with slaves laying side by side all over the ship? And you got to have people row the ship because you don't have engines on these ships. Ships have engines on them. Boats don't. There's a difference. They took boats over here, if anything, if it didn't have a motor on it. And that means you have to row that motherfucker. And if you ever watch any you know, people who are rowing boats, you have to be in sync with one another. This is like a team effort. You all are participating in moving this vessel. So you can't be out of rhythm. You know what I'm saying? You have to be a cohesive unit doing this. And are the slaves going to do this? You feel me? Are the slaves going to do? And then not only that, what are they eating? Are you bringing cattle on the boat? Because that's the only way you're going to be able to really feed people consistently fresh food. What about water? How much fresh water could you really bring on that ship? You can't bring vegetables and fruits because they're not going to last because you don't have refrigerators. You don't have toilets. So now everybody, including the slaves and the slave traders, whoever they are, you know, they have to relieve themselves over the rail of the boat. So just looking at just these little these little elements right here that correlate with the slave ship narrative, it really doesn't make any sense. And then why would you bring people from Africa to the Americas, right? Why not take the Africans back to Europe? Why is it that they left Europe in the first place? Were they fleeing monarchs? Were they immigrating over here with an eye so that they can send back resources to their people? Or were they coming over here fleeing their lands? And when were they coming over here? See, I have a theory based off my research that none of these people were really coming over here till the 1800s. That's fact. And as a matter of fact, slave voyages would agree because they numbers dropped from 90 or 12.5 million slaves being brought from Africa to 92,000. Do the math on that. That's a 99% difference. That's over 99% of the numbers being falsified. So also, they said that there were voyages prior to 1800s before they lowered those numbers. Now, those numbers, that 92,000 is attributed to only from 1808 to 1862, which goes along with my supposed theory that they didn't really get over here to the 1800s. So that Revolutionary War and all that shit with these white people coming over here by the army, it's a dub on that. They can't even prove that they came over here like that. And this shows why they were whitewashing history. And, you know, people who are black, quote unquote, black throughout history, they would change their identity and turn them into white people to feed us this narrative that we didn't really have any royalty prior to European or at all, even prior to, especially prior to Europeans. So that notion that we couldn't have built America if it weren't for the European coming over here, bringing us over here as slaves, it's a dub on that. That's not even practical. And I'm gonna use the talking point that Tariq uses. These people were taken as slaves, right? And they wasn't getting shit, and they didn't get shit popping in Africa. All right, they didn't really have shit popping in Africa. How could they get shit popping over here? How could the Europeans get shit popping over here when they couldn't even get shit popping in Europe? You know what I'm saying? So we really got to look at our role in building America. And in regards to our justice, it's all about us reconnecting with our nationalities so we can get our lands back. Everything else is a distraction. That's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I do feel if you are a descendant of slavery, if you did your genealogy and you have the records to suffice, you know what I'm saying? You should definitely go get yours. You know what I'm saying? But if you haven't done your genealogy, I wouldn't call your ancestors slaves if you haven't confirmed. And I yield.
My brother, hey, I tried to tell you, man. I got you right now, Jared. My brother Jared step in and give his take. But David did not. Hey, no compromise. Didn't I tell you this dude be dropping? Hey, this brother right here. Let me tell you something. I have to say it. When I got into his Twitter space, the real one. Let me tell you something, man. You are that brother that proposes those questions that me and Jangle Leg was talking about earlier. Elderly black folk don't want to hear that. They really don't know. Most young black folk don't want to hear that. They want to go with that narrative. So I love it when that brother drops that science, man. He be dropping jewels, and I appreciate it, man. Those are questions that I used to always wonder, and I would get shut down. I didn't have the knowledge, so I didn't know. I just was like, well, where's the documentation at, and who's there? And then when I finally read Before the Mayflower, what this brother uh, just spoke on, that kind of concur more of what he's saying. Because before the Mayflower, they was like, it was way too many people over here. And they couldn't have possibly brought all those people on those boats or those ships or whatever, because there was so many people already here. But, hey, man, I digress. My brother Jared, man, come on, man, get in here and drop some of that knowledge, my brother.
I mean, hey man, thank y'all for having me, man. Um, I'd like to speak on reparations and also about the slave trade. But first, speak on about reparations. I think one of the reasons why she was speaking of the Native Americans, and then why a lot of people kind of get sidetracked when it comes to reparation, when it comes to us as Black people, because there's not a straightforward message. If you don't have a message, then anybody can hijack it and put it to their use. It's just like, some people speak of, when you get reparations, was it college? Is it money? Who should get it? Well, if you're Black, how long you been here? And whenever that happens, it's up to interpretation. Anybody can just get into change. And so it just reminded me of like one of my favorite speeches by Malcolm X, and it's the ballad or the bullet. And in that speech, he was speaking of whenever you whenever you at that point he was trying to get everybody together to vote, and he was just saying he was getting all the different reverends, preachers, all the different people from church, Christians, Muslims, and he was just speaking from like whenever he put it together, he said, we're not going to be here to speak on our different beliefs, our different faiths, um when we come to here, we're going to be speaking about voting, how ways to make it better. Is because whenever we start speaking of these things, emotions get tied to it. So therefore, we get right off the main thing. So it's just like that was just a perfect thing for him, a perfect moment to like try to get everybody on a point of view where you can just take away from all the different emotions that humans as humans we have. So whenever we speak reparation, if we could have some kind of, a message where, not 100%, but the majority of us as Black African Americans, whatever you want to say, in America can get behind, then we can, push it forward. Because if everybody's speaking something different, then who's the one that's going to be, the main one that we're going to listen to and who's you follow? So it's just so many people can take it. And so it's just I think that that's one of the worst things about in our today's generation is there's a lot of different voices, but there's not a lot of unity behind a voice. So just with what happened with Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Edgar Evers, all these different leaders in the community. that, you know, whether you like their message or agree to everything they talked about, they brought unity to a standard, to, you know, a class of people that's being the poor black that you could get behind. Because whenever Martin Luther King attacks the buses, it wasn't about, you know, getting rights for those black people. It was about us as black people at that time taking money away from those white people, taking money away from those other people that was in charge. So when you start hurting your pockets, then you have to look and say, okay, why ain't my pockets fat? What is I need to do to fix it? So that started to change, and you can go on and on. It's you know what I'm saying. I can't remember who said it, but they said something to the effect of whenever you power begets power. So whenever you going to get somebody that has power, if you go to them and you say, you know, please do this and please do that, they ain't gonna listen to you because they're in a power position. So you have to come with them with power. You have to come with them with a direct way. You have to come with it with unity. So it's just, I think in today's world, there's so many different media outlets to pull apart from the black community, whether it's you know, gay, whether it's, you know, rich, poor, whatever, you know, upper class, lower class. It's so many different ways that we're really split, that whenever we try to, you know, come together, there's all these different outputs they throw at us. So we could find some way to, you know, become more of a unity, and whatever that way that is, I think we can, you know, better comfort it. And my background is in science, so you know I love science. And so one thing about, you know, I love about science is that, you know, it's not a fact, but it's something that's proven. It can be reproduced. You know, a hypothesis is the educated guess, but you have to have, whenever you do this test or whatever it is, it has to be backed up by facts. You know, so some things that I just love putting that into place when it comes to slave versus native versus Indians versus however you want to speak. If you go back to the term of, you know, how Africans got to here versus there. And then you go back into, you look at whenever the earth was one continent called Pangean, you would see that everything migrated from Africa. You can follow the path, you can follow the DNA, you can follow all these different things. And so why I'm saying this is whenever you come to the part of, you know, slaves in America, you can start tracking the path, the way that we was taken from Africa in several different ways, where it was the Spanish, where it was the English, where it was many different people went in and took that time. So to me, it's just, you know, they're using ways to take away from, you know, what we were then. So now it's just so many different ways of saying what we ain't. You know, you got the Egyptians, whatever, in Africa, and people saying that that was done by aliens, because you can't give greatness to those black people, those people of color, because it just can't be done. So I think sometimes we have to, you know, just take a seat back and just look at what we can do to make all of us better. And I know it's hard to say all of us because a lot of people don't want to go with you whenever what you believe. But sometimes the system itself is set up for you not to go that way. So we can do that, then I think we can have a better way to get with reparations, to get what we want out of it. And one of the ways I like is what's going on in California right now. They're just voted to get approved for reparations in a part. They're using a background of, if you are um African descendant of a slave in California, that you can get reparations. Now, I like that. You know, there's a lot of flaws in that too, because how can you prove a lot of documents, you know, aren't there? But I like how they're going, and I like the you know, the path they're taking. Because if you don't have, you know, nowhere to start, then there's no way to get out that finish line, to get to that finish line. So it's somewhere in there. So I don't know what y'all think about, you know, what's going on in that, but that's my 2 cents. You know, I'm enjoying what I'm hearing, and thank y'all.
Man, we appreciate that, my brother. And you're right. The California, it's, you know, you start and then you finish. So if you think about this in its totality, before we wouldn't even be talking about reparations because, like my brother Jangle Leg said earlier, he was like, the elderly black folk a lot of the times, they get afraid of thinking outside the box. So when you start talking about reparations, they look at you like you crazy. I feel like this day and age is the time to really go for it because we have the evidence and the facts of them giving money to everyone else but us. And that's what's deserving of us. Man, we've been on, hey, Janky Leg, me and Janky Leg been on here for 2 hours, man. Hey, man, I appreciate y'all jumping in here, man. Look, we about to end this spaces, man. We gonna try to do it again this time next week on Tuesday or maybe probably Thursday. David, Thursday, if you good, man, let's get it in Thursday. Uh, the real one, if you haven't,
This
if
Thursday
you,
or next Thursday?
yeah, if a real one, if you haven't one, let me know. Just hit me up. Jared, man, let me know when you free or whatever. DM me, and man, we can keep this going, man. But yeah, man, I appreciate everybody jumping into space, man. And we gonna reconvene. Hopefully, we can reconvene on Thursday. Let's go Thursday and reconvene and get some more topics on the billboard. Y'all good with that?
Yeah, we all good, brother.
Yes, sir.
Kind of win.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
All
this
right.
this Thursday, you talking about this Thursday, right?
Yeah, this Thursday.
Yeah, this Thursday I'll be in NY.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, look,
I'll be
man.
wow.
Well,
But I,
I
I'll check in. I'll definitely check in though.
okay.
If I can check in and chime in, I'll definitely do it.
Oh, you already know you always welcome. The real one, look, whether you want to start the spaces or I start it, I don't care. Just as long as people hear what you're saying. Because like I said, I be laughing at what you be saying, not because what you're saying is not valid or not facts. It's because it's facts. But I feel like a lot of times our people that are not as educated as, other people, they would be like, oh my God, this nigga is blasphemous. But what you said is real shit. It's just we need to start thinking outside the box. And I'm gonna just leave y'all with this before we go. Remember that character Cypher in the Matrix. There's more of him than there is of anyone else in the United States of America Incorporated. There's more ciphers in this world that would rather just live in the Matrix, know it's not real, know they're being used for their energy, than really jack out of the Matrix and understand what the real world is. So, man, we gonna reconvene on Thursday, man. I'm just send out the Twitter Spaces to y'all probably like 5 o'clock on Thursday, and we'll reconvene then. Y'all good with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, then, y'all, man. Hey, man, everybody have a good night. Be safe. I appreciate everybody coming through, and we're gonna reconvene on Thursday.
All right, peace, peace.
Peace.